you screen sharing or
Yeah, I can screen share.
yeah, that works. Okay, so I know this is a virtual meeting. If person I could be able to see you guys and make sure you guys are all looking up at the screen or whatnot. But I hope I have your attention now. So last week, last meeting was the first introductory meeting, and then we did have a break for fall break. So today we'll actually start learning Python since that's poll, what the overall vote was. We decided we're gonna start learning Python. So here it is. We're trying some new things especially this school year, this semester, from the past couple of years. If I just wanted to ask one question, have any of you guys programmed in Python before? So you guys can like feel free to unmute or type
Yeah,
in.
I did.
I have programmed a little bit, not too much.
I haven't.
Haven't you get
I've
answers?
I've done like pseudocode, which is
Pseudo?
similar to Python, but not actual Python.
Nice. If you guys are comfortable, you guys can type in what comp sci class you're in the meetings chat, so that way you guys have a
Uh,
general idea
I'm
of
sorry, what code? What chat?
like in the meetings uh it's a voice VC, right? Voice channel. There's a chat. Yeah, right there. Do you see the okay.
Yeah, I got you.
What are we supposed to type?
Just type in which computer science class you're in. So I get a general idea of what all experience everyone has. IST,
Yo, William, I have
GTCS.
a question. Did you do 1301? Or I mean, did you do CSA? Or
Yeah, I did CSA.
yeah, same.
Okay, cool. The CSA, GTCS, anyone else? IST. I think IST is the starter one, right? Okay, that's cool. So, so I knew that there would be some, like a variety of audience here. So we did plan out our meeting a bit differently. So in the beginning, the majority of the time in the meeting will be for learning basic Python concepts. And then we do have two discussions in between. We can kind of talk, and there we'll encourage everyone to share their ideas and opinions. And then towards the end, we'll have two like advanced Python concepts that uh, I can show you guys and I can explain. So without much more being said, let's go ahead and get started. Learning objectives. So intro to Python. Learn what is Python, applications of Python, online IDE. We'll also go over the basic stuff, variables, expressions, and statements. So we'll go over like constants, variables, assignment, numeric expressions, data types, and booleans.
So just a reminder before we get any further into the meeting, in order to best keep up with this meeting, it will be very necessary to practice actually coding in Python while learning. So we advise you to try using a Python ED like PyCharm, which you can install, or if you don't want to download anything, you can use Replit online. I personally have to use Replit because my PyCharm's been bugged ever since I got a new computer. So if you want to do that, that's pretty fine. There's you can find a tutorial online, and we can even show you it further in the video in the meeting. Yeah.
Yeah, William, if since you're screen sharing, could you just show that really quick?
Yeah, so here's Replit. You gotta create an account and stuff. Yeah. I don't think I'll show it right now since I don't have anything set up right now.
Could you just okay? That works, dude. I can show it if you guys don't mind.
Yeah.
Just stop screen sharing and I think so. Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So essentially for Replit, all I did was I just put yeah. So this is my Replit screen. Um, to get to this, it was pretty simple. I just went to
Joseph, you're not showing the right screen. We can only see the
shoot, sorry.
yeah.
Yeah.
How long is the meeting going to last?
It'll probably be until like 4:30, 4:40.
Oh,
Honestly.
alright, alright.
Okay. Yeah, if you have like any issues or anything, just know. No worries. Okay, so this is you guys see I'm on Replit right now,
Yeah, I can see it.
and if you
Yeah.
just if you can you see my Chrome page right now?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So all I did was I just went to Replit, and then you just have to log into your account. This auto logged in, but or else you can sign in with Google. And here's my project right here. Like my past projects. So this project, it's just print the world. Yeah, setting up Replit is fairly easy. You don't have to download anything. You can do it on like a Chromebook. So that's just how you set up Replit. Stop screen sharing. Okay, William, could you
Yeah, let me
screen
just
share
get
your
on that.
presentation again?
Hmm.
Yeah. I believe we're on slide 4.
Yeah. Now let's start talking computers and code. So now computers are built to perform tasks for us, and we need to be able to communicate with computers. Now there's a wide array of languages built to help us communicate with the computers in order to implement a series of instructions, which we do in the form of code.
Okay, so what is Python? Python is a computer language. Now you've heard of some other ones like Java, JavaScript, C. But Python is something separate from all of those. It's a programming language, which, like William said in the previous slide, is used for humans to machines. What is Python? Python allows us to communicate instructions to computers, and Python is interpreted object-oriented programming language, and it's flexible and dynamic. Some real-world applications of Python would be web and game development, scientific and numeric computing, data science, and AI research. So that's a big thing nowadays. There's a lot of Python libraries that go over all those things like web development, game development, AI, natural language processing, etc. I believe we discussed some in the last meeting. We were able to attend. Yeah.
Now, here are a few elements of Python. So, first of all, I just want you all to think of a story and try to relate it to Python. So, think of vocabulary and words as variables and reserved words. You could also think of sentence structure in a story as related to valid syntax patterns. And you could also think of the actual story structure as programming for a purpose. Now, constants are fixed values, numbers, letters, and strings. So for example, string constants, they use single quotes or double quotes. And here are a few constants you can see over here. So first, we ask the computer to print 123, the integer value. It'll print 123. Now we ask it to print 98.6, the float, 98.6. And then we ask it to print the string, hello world, it'll print hello world. Of course, without any single quotes or double quotes, because that's how the entire thing works. Yeah.
Yeah. So one thing did want to change from like previous years was if you go back to that slide, constants. Yeah. So instead of like, previous semesters, I would screen share and we'd type it out on Python, on whichever IDE we're using and show you guys. Uh, you guys, I'd recommend you guys try this yourself. Here the syntax is a bit off. I believe you're supposed to have parentheses inside the parameter you pass in for the print function. But it's just a screenshot we took. But I just want to put it out as a reminder. Hopefully everyone has their Replit IDE set up. If you need help with any of that, like creating a Replit account, just let us know. We can help you out real quick. But from now on, we recommend that you just type in whatever you see and you can actually be actually programming. So, so that'll take us to variables. Here's the slide. Yeah. So what do variables do? Similar to math, if you had a variable x, then you don't know what x is, but x has a certain value. In programming, it does essentially the same thing. Variables store and retrieve data. So you can choose your own variable names, and the contents of the variables can be changed. So here you have some samples, and you can try typing this out. X equals 12.2. Print x. What do you think it'll print? We have y equals 14. Print y. What do you think that'll print? And then we change x's value to x equals 100. And then we print x. Well, I can give you guys a moment. You can write down this line of code. Did everyone get a chance to write it down?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And you should see 12.2, 14, 100 responses. If anyone is confused, so initially x is set to 12.2, but then the value of it changes in that fifth line when it goes to 100. So move on.
All right. So, if you're done, Joseph, do you want us to move on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, naming variables. So, variables in Python can include letters, numbers, and underscores. However, they are case sensitive. So, if you put spam versus this capital S spam and all capital spam, these are three different variables. So, if you call spam this variable, assign it, let's say, an integer, and then you go ahead and try to assign this another integer, trying to refer it back to this, it will it classifies these two variables as different. So that's one thing. And another thing is that you cannot start with a number or any special characters. So you cannot start with 23 spam, can't do hashtag sign, and var.12. I should also probably also include that you can't put special characters in the middle. So for example, dot, exclamation point, and of course, the hashtag cannot be put inside or at the front or anywhere in the name of a variable. And now these are a few reserved words that cannot be used as variable names as they are used for different other functions in Python that have already been pre-programmed. Examples of this are and, delete, or, is, else if, from, return, break, else, not, while, if, and or. We'll get to all of these later.
Okay. I believe someone just joined us. No worries.
Ion.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah. We were just getting through the Python fundamentals slides. Right now we're on statements. So here's some example statements we have. X equals 2. That's this referred to as an assignment statement because you're assigning a value to the variable x. And then the other statement, bit like one step further, is x equals x plus 2. Here you're assigning it not to a particular value, but you're assigning it to an expression. And then print x is just your general print statement. And we've color coded like x is a variable, operator is the plus sign here, constant is the 2, and reserved word is the print.
So here's some more examples of assignment statements where you can assign values to a variable using the equal sign. Now, expression on the right hand and a variable to store results. So as you can see here, we have x. We assign x to the value of 0.6, but then we assign x, the new value of x, to x equals 3.9 multiplied into x multiplied into 1 minus x in parentheses. Now, because we already use 0.6 over here, it will use that form of value in here. So it'll be 3.9 times 0.6 into, in brackets, 1 minus 0.6. Now you should probably write this down also into your replit and like try to see what it prints out. And give you a little bit of time to do that.
Okay, can we move on? I don't want to rush anyone, but take your time. Okay, can you just type in the chat when you're all done? Oh, you got thumbs up. And thumbs up. Thumbs up.
Alright, I think we can move on now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So assignment statements. So assignment statements, here are a few, is a little diagram for this. So a variable is a memory location used to store value. This sort of explains what we did in the previous slide. So we stored the value of x as 0.6. Now, then we assign a new value to x using this entire expression. However, because we use x in the middle of this new expression, we reference 0.6 in both these cases. So this sort of explains what I was saying before. So of course, it follows the order of operations where you do 1 minus x. So this will do 0.4 first. Then I'll multiply 3.9 into x, which would be 0.6, multiply it into the value of this 0.4 to get 0.936. So we color coded it again here. We can see the variable for the memory location. The right side is the numerical expression, and once the expression is valued, the result is placed and assigned to x.
Okay. So moving on to numeric expressions. So these are pretty simple if you've done like any basic maths, you'll understand this. Whatever you learn in maths kind of carries over to programming. Addition, plus sign, subtraction, minus sign. Multiplication is the star sign because we can't use x. X would be a variable name. Division is the slash. Power in Python, it is two of the multiplication signs, and remainder is just the percentage sign.
So here's some more examples of numeric expressions. So once again, like Joseph said earlier, this is not syntactically, whatever, correct. You have to put a parentheses around this, otherwise it might not print it as you want it to. So I want you guys to, again, put this all down into your Replit compilers just so you can see what this all prints. And as you do that, I'll just be explaining what each of these does. So print for double multiplication sign into 3. This will raise 4 to the power of 3. So that should evaluate to 64. Now we assign, next one, we assign x as 2. Then we use x equals x plus 2, so it'll use the previous value of 2 in here. So we'll get x equals 2 plus 2, which will be 4. We'll assign that into x, and then we ask it to print out x, which will be 4. And then we have y equals 440 into 12. It's just basic multiplication. Don't remember the exact way of doing that. My mathematics is a bit rusty. But it should just print out the product of 440 into 12. Next one, j equals 23. So we've assigned the value of 23 to j. Then we create a new variable called k. That is equivalent to j modulus 5. So we have 23 modulus 5. So when you see that in your code, try to think 23 divided by 5, so that'd be 4. But how many remainders do you have? What's the remainder? You get 3. So 3 would be assigned to k. Then we ask it to print k, which will print out 3. Finally, we have z is equal to the value of y divided by 1000. So I guess this is just assuming that you've already written y earlier, because if you haven't assigned y any value earlier, then it will return an error because you're referencing some variable that hasn't been creating it. But if you have, for example, y equals 440 into 12, then it'll just do 440 into whatever the value of y was, divide that by 1,000, and then you just get the result of that. If you guys need any more time to think about that or put that into your compilers, please just speak up.
Yeah, the thumbs up worked well. So once you guys are done, just do the thumbs up. Yeah, we got a couple already. Okay, I think we got some thumbs up. We can move on.
So here's a little bit more on variables. So we have, just again reiterating, the math operations, donuts equals 12 into 12, and fishes is equal to 3. So the donuts variable will be assigned the value of 144, as you know, that's what 12 times 12 is, and fishes will get the value of 3. And now one thing about Python that we can do is that you can just do some math operations inside of the print statement. All you have to do is do fishes plus donuts. Of course, I would advise you to add a space in between the plus sign, as it is a little nicer to look at, and you can catch errors a little bit more easier if you look at it like that. So fishes plus donut would return the value of 147, as it just simply performs the calculation of 3 plus 144 and then prints out the result of that. Next one would be string operations, which is concatenation. I butchered the saying of that, but let's move on from that. So first of all, we assign the two variables values. Color is yellow and day is equal to Monday. Now we do color plus day, and you get yellow Monday without any spaces in between. Now I'll advise you, of course, when you actually create this program, you would do print color space quotation mark with a space in between, plus sign space day. Example of that would just be, here, I'll just put it out here. Print color plus day. Yeah, this would be an example of how to do it.
Okay, so we can move on to Python data types. So data types kind of describe variables and constants. If you've noticed, when you type in x equals 5, that's not the same thing as typing in x equals double quote hi. So here are the main different data types here. You have an integer, is like a whole number. Float is a number with a decimal point. A string is a character that's more than one character. Um, so just a word, Boolean is false value, and a list is a list of uh, other types, other variables. Yeah, I agree. We might be moving a bit too fast. Just be sure to ask. So a list, the thing about lists in Python is that they have to hold the same variable. So for example, if you were to have a list in Python, it'd be 0, 12, 5.5, and hello. That wouldn't work out because all the all the data types in the list are different data types. You had like integer, float, string, boolean. That's not gonna work. They all have to have the same ones. If you look at the list here, one list has all integers, one list has all strings. So that's fine. That's just a general rule of the list.
So the type actually does matter a lot. So Python knows what type everything is. So, and because of this, some operations are prohibited. So I just want you guys to take a moment to try running x equals hello the string and add it to 1. And then once you run that, you can just tell us what error it returns.
It responds with type error, can only concatenate string, not integer to string.
Yeah, that's one of the errors that will happen when you do that. Now, in order to prevent that, we have to ask Python what type something is using the type function. So x equals hello, and then we can print the type x equals 1, print type x. I want you guys to again run that code in and tell us what it returns.
Yeah, I think we have a question. Oh yeah.
It provides class string and then class integer.
Alright. So yeah, that's what it should be using to, that's what should be printed out when you return that. Now, I think, do you guys want a little bit more time to just see for yourselves what it prints out, or do you want to move on?
Yeah, just give it a thumbs up if you're ready to move on. Okay. If you have any questions, just type in the chat, unmute, whatever is easier for you. Okay.
Now, here are some examples of type conversions. So you can convert between an integer and a float using, and these are the type of actual functions, int and float. So examples of this would be x is equivalent to 42, print x, then x is equivalent to float x, and then you print the float value of x. And then we have the value of y, assign it to float of the float version of 100 divided by 1, and you print the value of y. Now, again, I want you guys to run that in your compilers and try to see what that returns.
The first one returns 42 and 42.0.
Yep. Okay, it looks like. Alright, so I guess we can move on from here.
Okay, so next topic, I believe this is like the last topic before we enter the discussion. So booleans, we discussed them earlier, true or false. Now, how are booleans used? So you'll see this later on, but just to put it out there, we have comparisons. You can compare two booleans. So you can compare equal to, which is actually two equal to signs, not equal to, which is exclamation mark, equal to sign, less than operator, greater than operator. Less than or equal to is less than, and equal to, greater than or equal to is greater than or equal to. So,
Alright, so before we move on from here, I just wanted to put out a little reminder that using this double equal, you cannot use the double equal sign and the equal sign interchangeably. Like you can't assign the value to a variable using this double equal sign, and you can't use an equal sign to make a comparison in a boolean, as they have two different values. This is um a Boolean operator, or at least a comparison operator, while the single equal sign is an assignment operator. So just don't make the mistake to do that, and you should be good. So here's an example of some Booleans using and, which is one of the reserved words we looked at earlier. So as you can see here, we are asking the compiler to print the value of, or at least see whether 1 is equal to 1 and whether 2 is equal to 2. And because 1 is equal to 1 and 2 is equal to 2, it'll print out true. Now, here's a little interesting part. Now if we have 1 is equal to 1, which will give true for this little area, half, and if 2 is not equal to 3, so this will get false. So in the end, we have true and false. Now, of course, we can't have, for and operators, you need to have both both sides of it should be true, or else it will return false. So this statement should return false. And of course, if both are false, 1 is definitely not equal to 2, and 2 is not equal to 3, false and false returns false. Now, using not, which is one of the other reserved words that we saw earlier, not 1 is equal to 1. Now, 1 is equal to 1, however, because we put the not reserved word in front of this statement, it'll return the opposite of whatever it was. So, because this is true, it'll return false for this line. Now, here are some examples of booleans using the or reserved word. Now, if both are true, it should work the same way. 1 is definitely equal to 1, and 2 is equal to 2. True or true, it returns true. Now, if only 1 is equal to true, like the same thing we looked at earlier, where 1 equals 1 returns true, and 2 equals 3 returns false. Now, or booleans, they only need one true statement in order to return true for the entire thing. So this, because 1 equals 1 return true, that'll make this entire thing true. However, if both are false, 1 is not equal to 2 and 2 is not equal to 3, then it'll just turn false. And here are a few more examples of using booleans using the or, just using the plain true and true. So true or true, like similar to this, it should return true. True or false, same as here, it'll return true. Now, not true and true, this should return false and true, which will in turn give out the value of false, as both sides are not true. Now, not true or false, if this was still true, then it would have been true, but because it's not true, this will be assigned false. So essentially we're saying false or false, which will return false.
Okay, so now we'll be doing a Boolean practice. So I want you guys to either you can type this in or it's recommended before you type this into your compiler. You can try predicting the output. The first one is 1 will equal to 1 and 2 is not equal to 1. So this would be true and false,
True.
which, sorry,
It would be true, the first one.
the first one would be true, and then the second one is
Also
false.
true.
Yeah, sorry, I read that wrong. Yeah, so so 1 is equal to 1, that's true. 2 is not equal to 1, that's true. So the whole thing would be true and output true. The
And the
next
third
one,
one is also true.
yes. And
Hmm.
then the fourth one,
Last one's
False.
false, right?
Yeah, it's false.
yeah, first statement is wrong. Okay, now we'll move on to some discussion topics.
So first question is, what do you guys want to do with Python programming? You can unmute and talk about it, or you can put your answers in the chat. Either one works, whichever one you're comfortable with.
Yeah, I do try to hope like everyone has a chance to say something. That's why we have like two different topics. So if you don't can't think of anything for one, recommend we try to you try to put at least something for at least one of the questions.
I'm trying to do like machine learning, like
Yeah, it's a pretty good topic to focus on.
Yeah, machine learning, AI. Yeah, it would
yeah.
definitely look.
What about you, William?
Yeah, I'm probably also gonna try to go into AI and machine learning. Also, I am also considering like cyberspace defense and cybersecurity.
Um, that's interesting. What about you, Joseph?
Yeah, I like the AI. I believe in the future what we'll do is we'll start integrating some using some AI modules. I know I have some projects like natural language
No way.
process. I know a really good project we could do in the future if you guys are interested would be like a chatbot, AI chatbot. That's pretty cool because almost if you go on like any online website, online business, they'll usually have a chatbot to help navigate you around. And most of them are run by Python programs that we can create. So if a lot of people are interested in natural language processing, specifically in AI, we could look into a small project like that. I think I have an old one I could pull up. I also like web scraping. I did some web scraping with Python. I believe,
Yeah, web scraping is really cool.
yeah, last year.
Like especially
There's
if they don't have like an API already.
yeah, web scraping's nice. There's some libraries for web development too. Those are pretty, but I generally like to stick to like JavaScript and stuff for web development. But if you're really good at Python, then there's still libraries for it. Does anyone else want to share? Appreciate you, Krishna. I know Rehan um, typed in the chat. I think he's still typing.
Wait, what was the question again?
Oh, it's up there. We're just doing the first question right now. What do you want to do with Python programming? I know a
Well,
couple years
you
back.
learn
Yes,
the
sir.
basics.
Yeah, learn the basic. That's completely.
Yeah, and I don't really know.
Yeah. Um. One other thing is if you guys are interested in like in the beginning, right? We talked about real world applications in Python, so that there kind of breaks off into sectors. So after we learn the basics of Python, we could go into let me scroll up. We could go into something like if you guys are interested in web development, game development, um, data science, use Python a lot, artificial intelligence, natural language processing. Well, obviously, to cover all of those things, you have to study the basics first. Yeah, if anyone else wants to add on, share. Ayan, are you interested in Krish? Okay, if yeah, yeah, I think we can move on to the second discussion topic. So hopefully, that I didn't weren't able to do the first one, they can. The second one would be, what are some Python concepts you want to learn? After this slide, I did prep two slides for some more advanced concepts. I know there's some more advanced programmers in this meeting right now. So we will look into those. If you're a beginner, no stress. You don't have to worry about that or anything. And young, that's typing. Oh, yeah, 5 o'clock. That's fine. No worries. Yeah, I think it took a bit longer than how much I predicted. Uh, I think we should wrap it up by 5 though. Yeah, AI.
Yeah, one of the benefits of going to the AI field is the fact that it will never be perfect, at least in the next 20-ish years, so they'll always need people to keep on working on it. So that's one of the main reasons why I'm like trying to focus into going into AI or something like that. Because that landscape is always changing and it sounds pretty cool as well. Okay, so if nobody else wants, if you guys have all said it, I think we should be able to move on.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we can move on. Okay. So these are some two more advanced topics. In Python, if you guys are interested, this is like people that are doing the high level computer science classes, maybe the upperclassmen that found the first fundamentals in this meeting kind of like boring, repetitive, whatnot. So recursion, I won't take too much time to explain what it is now, but if you guys have been programming for a while, you should be introduced to the concept. I believe it's the last topic in AP Computer Science A. Also, I'll test it on the AP exam. So hopefully, if you guys took that class, you can like remember what recursion is. Or if you guys are taking that class, it'll be in like May, April or May. So we have a basic recursive function right here. How it works is we have a base case, and recursion will always start with the base case, which is basically a condition that, if met, it terminates the recursive calls, and it prevents the function from calling itself indefinitely, serves as a stopping point. And then we have a recursive case, which is in addition to the base case, we each recursion function must involve a recursive case. In the recursive case, the function calls itself, which is what we call recursion. It calls itself with a modified or smaller version of the original problem. So breaking down the problem, the idea behind recursion is to break down a complex problem into smaller, more manageable subproblems. Each recursive call operates on a smaller or simpler instance of the problem. Now, progress toward the base case. So, to ensure that recursive calls eventually reach the base case, the problem is structured so that each recursive call slowly makes progress towards that base case, or else, like I said, it'll just keep continuing indefinitely. This means that the input is gradually modified to get close to the termination condition. Combining results. So, as the recursive calls may return results, those results are combined or used to solve the original problem. Many recursive algorithms, the results are multiple recursive calls and are combined to produce the final working solution. Now, in this example right here, we have a base case, which is when n equals 0, and that's when the recursion stops. And a recursive case would be n factorial. So it's calculated as n times n minus 1, factorial n minus 1. So this means it calls itself with a smaller value of n. So this is a basic recursive case. Some other use cases of recursion. It's useful when a problem can be naturally divided into smaller, similar subproblems, making the code more elegant and easier to understand. It's commonly used in tasks, algorithmic tasks like tree transversal, searching algorithms, for example, like binary search, and problems that involve exploring all possible combinations or permutations.
Hey, sorry I'm late.
Hey,
Yeah, no worries.
Dutch.
Doctor, any chance, do you have any like past programming experience with Python? Or hello? Do you have any past programming experience with Python?
Oh, sorry, no. Unfortunately, but I'm working on it, though.
No, okay, that's no worries. Yeah, the only worries is like, so today we're trying to set the meeting so that first part of it would be like fundamentals for beginners. Then we had a short discussion, which we just finished up. And now we're going to move on to two advanced topics. Won't take up the bulk of the meeting, but it is just a small part of it. The slides will be published so you can look over, or you can look over the fundamentals. These are a bit more advanced, so if you listen to it, you might get a bit confused or not know certain terms. That's completely fine. This is more for like the advanced programmers, experienced Python developers in the meeting. So one last thing about recursion, just to be use caution because recursive functions are designed carefully to ensure that they eventually reach the base case and don't go on indefinitely, which could probably like mess up your computer or something, really to flow errors and whatnot. I believe we can move on to the next slide. Yeah. So the second somewhat advanced Python concept I wanted to introduce today is dynamic programming. Again, if you're just learning Python, just starting off programming, don't uh, try to. You could try to like listen on a little bit, but some words you might not understand what's going on. This is more for like the advanced programmers. They have some value from this meeting as well. Here we have the coding example here. It's Fibonacci sequence, and I just put a small blurb on the screen. Read it out to you. So dynamic programming is a technique used to solve complex problems by breaking them down into smaller subproblems and solving each subproblem only once, storing the results in a data structure. Usually it's an array or dictionary to avoid redundant computations. It's particularly useful for optimization problems and can lead to significant performance improvements. So here, as you can see, our objective is to calculate the nth Fibonacci number efficiently using dynamic. So Fibonacci sequence is a pretty simple sequence where you have starts off with 0 and 1, and then you add 0 and 1, you get to 1, and then you add 1 and 1, and you get to 2, and then you add the for the next number in the Fibonacci sequence, you add the previous two numbers. And it's common to see in like nature and stuff. It's a pretty meaningful sequence. So here our objective, like I said, calculate the nth Fibonacci number efficiently using dynamic programming. So first we have to set up an array for storage. We created an array fib of size n plus 1 to store Fibonacci numbers. This array prevent redundant calculations and help store results of subproblems. Our base cases, we set the first two elements of the Fibonacci sequence, 0 and 1. That's what the Fibonacci sequence starts with. And now we can use the iterative calculation. So we use a for loop to do this in Python. If you want to iterate the for loops will be talked about in the next meeting, a bit more advanced. So we just set up a for loop to say what I just said. So adding to find the next term, we add up the previous two terms. And the syntax for that's on the screen. The result of this would be to return Fibonacci sequence the nth term in it. So for example, if you call Fibonacci parentheses 6, this function will return 8, as 8 is the sixth Fibonacci number. One more small aspect of this is whenever you write a program, higher up you get into programming, do competitive programming for job interviews, you look at the efficiency of a program. A simple concept, if you want to build a house and it takes you 1 year, or if it takes you 10 years for the same house, you'd obviously want to build the same house in 1 year. It's more efficient. So, efficiency for programming is this approach avoids recalculating the same Fibonacci number multiple times. And there's a way you can calculate efficiency. We use it with the big O notation. So, here the time complexity, which is essentially how efficient the program is O of n, because each Fibonacci number is only calculated once. The array fib stores results of subproblems, preventing redundant work, therefore increasing efficiency to O of n. if you guys go into O of N, competitive programming, whatnot, O of N is, yeah. So Fibonacci sequence, good question, is it starts off at zero. It's just a general sequence, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, etc. That's a sequence. Fibonacci sequence is a sequence that starts at zero. It goes 0, 1, 1, and each term is calculated by the sum of the past two terms. The first couple terms would be 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. So that's what Fibonacci sequence is. It shows up in nature and stuff like that. Very relevant sequence. We just looked at a way to calculate the Fibonacci sequence with O of n time complexity. If you guys go into more advanced programming, generally the efficiency you want to aim for linear complexity O of n. O of n squared or O or any other n, they would be not as efficient as O of n. And we calculate efficiency with the program with big O notation. If you guys want, we can look at that later on after a couple more tutorials on fundamentals. But that's pretty much all I had for this meeting. Yeah, that's pretty much all I had for this meeting. I know it went a little overboard. It's 5 o'clock. If anyone has to go, it's completely fine. I understand. Just if you want to do a couple of closing announcements. Uh, we're planning on doing a in-person meeting sometime this semester. We want to increase, we can see like who all is in this club, who all is being active, what everyone's doing. So we officers are working on planning that out, and we'll let you guys know. The next thing would be that I know that me, Arnav, William, you're senior too,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, me, Arnav, William, me, Arnav, and William are all seniors, and I believe Sahil is junior.
I'm not sure, to be honest.
Yeah, I think he's a junior. So, with that being said, we do have some new officer positions opening up. But so since 3 out of 4 officers will graduate this year, uh, so with that, so we are looking for a couple things when it comes to new officers and officer elections. We'll probably won't be for a while. We just want to put this information out. So we're looking for how prepared you are to the club meetings, whether you come on time or if you don't come at all, if you come in, late or early, that we look at all those things. If you're missing a lot of meetings or if you have really good attendance, that all plays a role. We'll probably have an interview later on, and we'll look at what all coding experience everyone has. This club, it's been around for a long time. Look forward to, I know me and Arnav, we got selected as presidents, William, Sahil as secretaries from the previous owners of the club, Adil and Karthik, and I believe before that, I believe Adil and Karthik got selected as secretaries, and the founders of this club graduated, and then they took over, and then now we took over, and now you guys will be the next ones to take over and run this coding club. So it is a somewhat decent sized responsibility. You'll have to have a certain time commitment for it. But yeah, we just wanted to keep that on the lookout so you guys can look ahead towards that. Make sure you try to do your best to join on time, join all the meetings. That'll all help for your officer position elections. Any other announcements, William?
No, I think that should be it. Now, if you guys have any more questions, this is the time to ask it. And if you guys don't have any more questions, then we can consider the end.
All right then. So we'll post the video, some notes and everything. One more thing, we do have a Canvas group. So on Canvas, when you log on to see your classes, you also see SFHS Coding Club if you are registered in the Canvas. So you can check that for all the club resources, same things that are in the resources in this Discord server. With the meetings, what's the
Yes,
Discord.
sorry to interrupt you, Joseph. One way that will help us add everyone to the Canvas course is filling out the form that I've sent over here in the meetings v VC chat, and I've also included another link in the club update section, which is yeah, you can find it there. Once you fill that out, we should be able to fill out attendance, and you should get an invite shortly inviting you to the club. And yeah, one thing that we should highly advise you to do instead of using your personal email, we advise you to use your school email so that we can properly assign you to the course. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Yes, I don't want to hold you guys too much longer. So we can conclude the meeting now. Thank you everyone for coming. It means a lot to us. Hope you learned something new, regardless of your experience level. If you have any questions, just reach out to us anytime through the Discord server. It's ideal. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you
Yeah,
for
no worries.
coming out.